In the narrow, winding alleys of Marseille, where ancient stone walls whisper secrets and Mediterranean shadows dance between crumbling buildings, a 12-year-old boy named Lucian became France's most enigmatic thief. During the harsh daylight hours, when tourists wandered the old port and merchants hawked their wares, he appeared as nothing more than another casualty of the streets, a thin, unremarkable child with hollow eyes and tattered clothing, invisible to the wealthy who hurried past with averted gazes. But when darkness descended over the ancient port city, when the last light faded from the harbor and the affluent retreated behind their iron gates, something extraordinary occurred. Lucian shed his daytime disguise like a snake discarding its skin, transforming into something that defied explanation, a silent shadow that moved through the night with supernatural precision and otherworldly grace. The affluent districts of the city, with their grand Belle Époque mansions, fortress-like estates, and manicured gardens hidden behind towering walls, became his hunting ground. These neighborhoods, protected by the most sophisticated security money could buy, should have been impenetrable to any intruder, let alone a homeless child. Yet he moved through them like a phantom, studying his targets with the patience of a predator and the intelligence of a master strategist. While other criminals of Marseille were crude and desperate, smashing windows in frantic searches for quick cash, ransacking rooms with violent abandon, he was fundamentally different. He was an artist of infiltration, a master of the impossible, slipping past motion sensors that could detect the slightest movement, disabling alarm systems worth more than most annual salaries, and evading trained security guards as if he were made of mist itself, leaving no trace of his presence except the haunting knowledge that the impossible had occurred once again. What made Lucian truly terrifying wasn't his supernatural ability to penetrate any security system, it was what he chose to steal once inside. His targets weren't the obvious treasures that lined the walls and filled the safes of Marseille's elite. He walked past diamond necklaces worth fortunes, ignored paintings by master artists, and left untouched the stacks of cash and gold bars that would have set any common thief up for life. Instead, his focus was far more sinister and deeply personal. He stole the irreplaceable. Family photographs that captured moments of pure joy and love, private diaries filled with secrets, confessions, and intimate thoughts never meant for other eyes, cherished childhood toys that held decades of sentimental value and countless precious memories. These weren't random thefts, they were calculated acts of psychological warfare designed to wound in ways that mere monetary loss never could. The aftermath of his visits was always the same. Families would wake to find their most intimate possessions gone, their private worlds violated by an invisible intruder who had walked through their homes like a ghost. The violation went beyond material loss, it was spiritual, emotional, leaving his victims feeling exposed and vulnerable in ways they had never imagined possible. They felt constantly watched, perpetually unsafe in their own homes, unable to shake the feeling that their most private moments had been observed and judged. As news of these impossible crimes spread through the city's social circles, the media gave him a name that would become legend. They called him Le Fantome, the Phantom, and with each new heist, each impossible infiltration, his reputation grew. The wealthy began sleeping with weapons beside their beds, installing ever more sophisticated security systems, hiring private guards, yet still the Phantom came and went as he pleased, leaving behind only fear and the terrible knowledge that no fortress was strong enough to keep him out. The truth behind the Phantom's crusade lay buried in Marseille's recent past, in a story of corporate greed and human tragedy that explained everything. His motivation wasn't the random malice of a disturbed child or the simple greed that drove other criminals, it was something far more powerful and devastating, a deep, burning need for vengeance that consumed his young soul like a fire that could never be extinguished. Years earlier, when Lucian was just an ordinary boy with an ordinary family living in a modest home near the harbor, a powerful businessman with political connections had decided their neighborhood was perfect for his new luxury hotel project. Without warning or adequate compensation, bulldozers arrived one morning and demolished everything: homes, memories, entire lives crushed under the weight of progress and profit. The destruction left young Lucian orphaned and homeless, watching helplessly as his entire world was reduced to rubble for the sake of tourist accommodation. This single act of corporate brutality had transformed an innocent child into something darker, molding him into a creature of the night driven by an unquenchable thirst for retribution against the wealthy class that had destroyed everything he held dear. For months, he waged his silent war against the affluent, successfully infiltrating over 30 homes throughout the city, each heist more audacious and impossible than the last. Then, as mysteriously as his reign of psychological terror had begun, Le Fantome vanished without leaving a single trace. No arrests were made despite the massive police investigation, no evidence was ever found, no witnesses came forward with useful information. Some whispered that he had fled France entirely, perhaps to haunt the wealthy districts of another city, while others believed he remained somewhere in the city's labyrinthine shadows, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to resume his haunting work. The question that plagued the privileged remained unanswered and continues to echo through the mansions of Marseille: would you recognize if the phantom had already entered your home?